Hello, Wellness Warriors. I'm excited to be here today on this beautiful Friday. Um, Today, I have something exciting in store. As you know, my page is all about wellness, alchemy of wellness, right? And it's about healing and the journey to healing. And so today I have invited somebody that inspires me. So I have my friend Lisa from Human Garage joining me today. And so I'm going to go ahead and add her right now as we join. Um, all right. So it looks like she is joining us. Hi, Lisa. How are you doing
Hello.
today?
I
I am
am good. How are
good.
you
It
doing?
looks beautiful where you are. I saw you post that backdrop, and it was beautiful. Tell me about that a little.
Yes, so we have the amazing opportunity to come to so we okay, let me back up a little bit. So we're based right now out of Cancun, Mexico, and we have our friends, our partners here in Tulum, outside of Tulum, um, that um, we came last year about this time and we did a whole 1 month retreat. We had three different groups. And so this place is called Casa Mayacan. It's outside of Tulum, about 45 minutes or so. And so we're out in the middle of the jungle at this amazing, beautiful resort. So, or it's actually, yeah, it's a resort. It's a house with, we sleep in tents on the beach, and just over off to this left to me is the ocean, off to the right to me is the lagoon, and underneath all this land is some amazing like underground fresh water, like cenote water. So it's very
That's
magical
beautiful.
here.
I
So
love the
yeah.
healing power of just the body of water. Just even looking at it is so healing. So,
Yes, it's incredible. Like the energy and the magic and all the things that are go on here. Just like this morning we were on the beach and these birds were flying over us and they were just kind of dancing with each other. It was just like out of the ordinary, but it was just so, yeah, just things
um,
like that happen here
nature
all the
nature
time.
is very
So yeah,
healing.
amazing.
All right. So we kind of
Yes.
jumped ahead of ourselves. If you can take a moment and just introduce yourself, say hello to everybody.
Yeah. Yes, thanks, Deborah. So my name is Lisa. Hello, everybody. My name is Lisa Johnson, and I am with an organization called Human Garage, and you can find us at Human Garage on Instagram. And we've been on a mission um, to teach people how to heal themselves. And I came across Human Garage. It's been a little over 2 years ago, and I was looking for some place to heal my body. I was dealing with a lot of, I had an autoimmune um, diagnosis and a lot of different symptoms, but also weight loss and just not feeling good in my body. And I'd been dealing with those things for at least 20 years. And so I'd been through all the diets and the programs and all of those things. Um, and so when I came across Human Garage, I knew a little bit about fascia. So we talk about a lot about fascia and releasing the fascia um, as part of healing the body and a way to actually go through the steps of healing. And so I joined in. I started doing the movements, and I'm like, this is. It was. I just knew a little bit about fashion. I knew this was different. I knew the philosophy made sense, and I knew I had a belief in myself that the body can heal itself if given the right conditions. And so, but I never, and I've always believed that, but I didn't know what that really looked like. Like you can, you know, but this was the formula. And it's not an easy road to heal from autoimmune and autoimmune symptoms and all those things, but yeah. And so now I've been working with Human Garage for, it was a year in January, so a year and almost 5 months. I've been traveling and working, and I work in the marketing role. And over this past year, since January, I've dropped 100 pounds of, got rid of. I didn't lose them because I don't want them back, but I got rid of all 100, almost 100 pounds, and have healed a lot of the autoimmune symptoms that I've been struggling with for 20 years. And if anybody knows about these kind of autoimmune and just chronic pain and all those kind of things, they don't come in all at once. They're just these, oh, now I've got this pain here, I've got this condition here, I've got, my hands used to break out, I used to have bloody, my gums would bleed so bad, and my feet would break out where I couldn't hardly even walk, and pain in my, just all those things. And yeah, brain fog, and my hair would, is just terrible, just all those things that it's like, but you did, once you put them together, then they kind of put a package around it called an autoimmune disease. And yeah, and so that's where I'm at. I've dropped 100 pounds and working in Healing with Human Garage, and now I'm at the point where I can share a little bit of my story. So, and that's how we got
That
here.
is
So I'm
so
so excited.
beautiful. I remember a couple months back coming across one of your lives that you're doing, and it was one of your first. I would call it like a launching live, right? The first time you've gone live, and you were sharing your story, and I know you were a little nervous, and that really inspired me. Just hearing your story, it's inspired me at many levels. One of the levels was that you didn't care that you were nervous. You just wanted to get your story out there because a lot of people need to hear about this, right? And so just
Yeah.
seeing the courage that you were putting forth was very inspiring. And then the story itself, I know you shared a little bit about it, but I wanted to ask the question is like, what was a pivotal moment for you that ignited your journey towards healing, and how did it change your perspective on life? And then in that perspective, like how did that shift as well?
Yeah. So when I came to Human Garage, or when I came full time with Human Garage, so that was January of 2023, I had been working with the team, and but not necessarily living with the team. I'd been to a couple retreats, so I'd been, and with Human Garage, we have these free programs that you come, it's a 28-day reset and the fascia maneuvers, and the programs actually teach you how to get rid of the chemicals and start creating habits that create an environment so you can heal your body. So I'd been a little bit through that, and then when I came into Human Garage, I mean, it was like kind of pulling off all the band-aids. And I mean, I was in the environment, like, we eat completely organic, we have no chemicals, movement, and we were going to the beach every day. And at that time, like, I had a lot of restriction in my body. I was holding on to a lot of pain in my body. But by that time I had healed a little bit. Like I, because I'd been moving my body and opening up my fascia, and, releasing some of the stress and the trauma that was in my body already. And so here I was in it, and I was doing the things every day. And after a few months, like, I wasn't feeling better in my body. I was still tired. I wasn't sleeping very good. Like, I mean, still struggling with, brain fog and these things, and still holding on to the pain in my body. And what I realized, like, I looked at all my life and all the things I was doing, because everything else was pretty consistent. And the one thing I wasn't dealing with was the emotional part of it. Like, it was just, I mean, not that I wasn't dealing with it, but I wasn't, like, there was stuff in there that I hadn't dealt with from the past. And I was holding on to stuff, and just the way I hold on and process my emotions, like, it was stuck in there. And I just, it was actually a pretty significant, I mean, it was just like yesterday that it happened, but it was like this series of these conversations with people, like, setting the intentions. Like, I really want to express my emotions. Like, what I realized, I'm probably going to cry when I say this, but like, what I realized is, like, I don't know if the people around me in life, in my family, like, I don't know if they feel love from me, like, because I don't express very well. Like, I don't know how, and those kind of things. And then, like, do they really feel love from me? And, and do I receive that back? And that's what I wanted. So I set the intention. That's what I wanted to open up. And that was like on a Monday. And then I had a very significant conversation about the same thing on a Wednesday. And by Friday, like, the opportunity to do this showed up. And I'm just like, and it was just a simple conversation that changed my perception. In it, and it was one of our partners that came in from with Human Garage to visit us. And I didn't know this person before. And so, but it was just a conversation. He asked me how I slept the night before. It's like, we went to the beach that morning. He's like, well, how did you sleep? And I said, well, I'm tired, And he says, well, you can change that. And I'm like, so that simple conversation kind of got me thinking, like, well, why did I answer it that way? Like, I could have said, okay, I feel fine, like our normal conversation, but I didn't. And then he kind of started asking questions and that kind of thing. And it led me to realize where I was holding shame in my body and how I got there, like how I got there emotionally, like how the process went. And I'm like, that's where I hold it, is through those questions. It's like, because when I answered that question, I wasn't feeling good, and I was feeling shameful about it because I shouldn't be, because I'm in this environment, I'm doing all these things, but I was holding all that shame and guilt about it. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's where so that was kind of a big aha perception change moment. And then we had other conversations throughout the weekend. And the big one was, we got to the end of the weekend, and I'm like, I wanted to tell this guy, like, you really changed my life this weekend. But like, oh my gosh, that was expressing out, right? That was like something that was scary, and I don't know this guy, and like, whatever. But a couple of days ago, I said I wanted to do that. So here was my opportunity to do it, and I didn't want to do it. And if I didn't do it, like, I would have regretted it. So I finally got enough courage, and I said, like, hey, you changed my life, and didn't know what. He got a deer in the headlights look, and I'm just going, oh my God, this is going south. This is going to be very bad. I don't know. I'm gonna like exit the room, kind of thing. And so we ended up having this conversation. There was actually a group of us, and then at the end of the conversation, it was just him and I. And he's like, you know what? He said, thank you for telling me that. He goes, I help a lot of people, but I never, I don't know impact I have. And so not only did I get to express it in that little way, I mean, it was a big way. It was a big way, but it seemed so simple, like a simple, like, hey, expressing. But then I got to receive it back all in that same moment. And after that, something opened up in me of like, oh my gosh, that opened the floodgates of expressing, and allowed all the work I've done to kind of come out. And then from there, just that perception change. Now, I didn't change my habits. I didn't change my food. I didn't change my exercise. Doing the same things for the next 4 to 6 weeks. The inflammation and weight that I've been holding on to just started melting off my body. Like, and I was changing every day. My face was changing every day. My body was changing every day. But up until then, I was holding on to it because I wasn't expressing my emotions, or I didn't know how. Like, I didn't have that pathway, the natural pathway. So my natural pathway was I was holding on to them. And so that was the very first significant change that got me to that first healing level, like the healing success that I felt I could actually feel and see in my body. And when I take pictures, I can see the before and after, and see the results.
That was beautiful. And I wanted to highlight, like, you talked about the emotions, and for whatever reason in our culture, we're not taught to process our emotions. Like, there is a topic that I talk about extensively, and it's emotional virtue, or emotional IQ, right? Emotional quotient, and then boundaries, and there's so many things that, for whatever reason, in our culture, we're not taught to self-regulate, to do all these things that are really integral for our growth, for our ability to thrive. And there are people walking around that I see every day, and they're just so bottled up, and like when we look at healing, we can't compartmentalize it, right? We have to address it from the whole aspect, the holistic aspect. And that's really key. And like you said, where your shift happened was when those questions were asked and you were able to like process that, and then start looking at all those other areas. Excuse me, my voice is going out. And so I thought that was very beautiful that you shared that aspect, because that is so important in our healing journey, is being open and receptive. And I loved how you touched on the realization you made that you didn't know, and that is that I I see why you got emotional. You don't know if the people around you are feeling your love, or you're able to show that appreciation for that. And then in that healing moment, in that shift,
Yeah.
was when you shared and that person expressed their gratitude for you sharing. And that was kind of like a glimpse of how that works, right? Tell me a little more about that. I know you shared about that, but I just kind of like the deeper in
Yeah.
that.
So the the most profound thing that just like again seems so simple but just was like apparent to me. It's like I didn't have to do anything physically different. Like I didn't have to like do more reps on the treadmill. I didn't have to exercise more. I didn't have to push myself anymore. The only thing that
Yeah.
shifted was my perception of the way I saw the story, the way I expressed outwards. Like I released outwards and started expressing outwards instead of holding in. So it was really just the way the lens I was seeing my life through shifted to change. Like, the rose colored glasses kind of like shifted or got to it, maybe a different color or something like that, and it was just, and once, and I've had many conversations with Gary about perception shifts and how it affects the body. Like the one big question that I've asked him is like, does a perception shift come first, or does a shift in the body come first, and then you get a perception shift? And in my experience of this first part of my healing journey, it's been the perception shift first, and then the body has to catch up to the perception
Right.
shift, because it doesn't happen overnight. Like the perception shift, and it's like, oh, and the body's like, oh, we're doing something different now. My hormones are firing different, and I'm expressing myself different, and all those things are changing, and your body kind of has to catch up. Then all of a sudden, it's like, okay, we don't have to hold on to that anymore. Now we can let that go. And it's just like, like I said, it started melting off my body. And so, really, diving deep into that part of it and understanding, like, and that expression of allowing that to come out wasn't so taboo or scary or unacceptable, or whatever story I had in my mind. Like I, always was kind of at a loss for words.
That's okay.
Sorry, there's a bell ringing in the background. Um, but yeah, it's always, up until then, like I always had a hard time even coming and like expressing myself, even like on Zoom calls, because like with Human Garage, we're all virtually and online, so how we got together was on Zoom. And so like I could barely speak on a Zoom call or even want to show my face. And now here I'm, holding space and doing my own live and talking to you now, like, and I feel like my words are flowing more. Before, like I would start saying something and it was like, oh, that's not what I wanted to say, and my brain and my mouth weren't really connected and all these things. And so that shift in itself has been huge, and being able to express and like finally have a way to get out of my body what I've been so stuck in, but just not even having a pathway or knowing how a habit to do
Yeah.
that, I guess, a natural habit. And yeah, because my natural habits were always to hold it in, and because that's all mine, and like, and the shame and the guilt and all that kind of
Yeah,
stuff.
and I always like
Yeah.
to like make analogies or talk about how just kind of make when I take things in. And so, like, what I'm hearing is like, okay, we're like tuning forks, right? And when we find the right tune, right, we become aligned. And then everything flows
Yeah.
forth, right? Like we can say the things that we need to say. Our body starts healing, and there's like this communication that happens within our mind, our body, and our spirit, and they're all in sync, and that's like a beautiful place to arrive at. And I talk about life often as a journey, and we're all on the journey, and um, and it's beautiful when we get to a place where we're in that alignment, because it almost seems surreal that we can have that level of healing, of understanding, of um, reciprocity, of like all of the things. And yeah, it's very succinct and clear. So I love hearing these stories, and they're very inspiring, like I mentioned before. And I hope that people out there are getting some value from this. And I wanted to ask you another question, if I can.
Yeah.
How has your shift affected those around you, like your friends, your family, and whatnot? Like, what impact has that had in their lives?
Oh, that's a good question. So not very long after I had that time, and it was in March of last year, and I had a trip planned, and I was going to a conference with some business colleagues, my advertising colleagues, and so going to that conference in that space with familiar people, I noticed, because was showing up different, they were showing up different for me, like to me, or like the interactions were different. And then right after that conference, I went back home where I'm from with my family and friends and those kind of things, and it was the same thing. Like I was getting reflections from them, like, oh my gosh, you look so good, you all these changes and things like that. And you know and and just kind of over time, like, people that I haven't heard from in years just kind of start messaging me, like, hey, I saw you on, like, looks like you're doing great, kind of thing. And so it's because I've shifted my energy. It changes the reaction of myself with those other people. And so, yes, some people that maybe, you know, were really good friends or something like that, or got along with real well, now are just like they feel a little standoffish. Or the opposite way, where somebody I was not so connected with, are like, now there's a real connection there. And I can't really explain it or put my finger on it, but it's just, the only thing I can say is that I've changed, and the way I'm showing up has changed. And so it reflects a change in everybody else as well, because they're experiencing me differently and they're feeling me in a different way. And actually, I think my friend that we've been on a healing journey. We've known each other since high school, and she's been a big part of my healing and spiritual journey. She's on this live right now, and we were just having this conversation the other day. And you get to a point in your journey where there's a point of no return. And that time in March, when I kind of, that first, like, big, that big breakthrough, that was a point of no return for me, because I was changed so much in my habits and my energy and my body and everything. Like, I can't go back to the person I ever was before. But before that, I could always fall back very, very easily. And so, and when she said that, it's like, that's such a profound thing. It's like, and it felt so good because it's like, you go, anybody going through a healing journey that feels stuck in resistance and all that thing in their body, that's like, you don't ever feel like you're getting anywhere. But like, there is a point of no return. Like there is a place where you get to where it's like, you know what? Even though you don't necessarily feel it, you can look back on pictures and all these things and like, oh my gosh, I am not the same person. When that realization kind of kicks in, even more healing can happen, because that is a whole perception change in itself. And this was just like, I don't know when it was. It's just like a week ago that I had this, and so I'm still experiencing that perception shift. It's like, I am past the point of no return. I'm finally past the point of no return. Like, I can't go back to that sick person that was in all this chronic pain, and you know, and I can't go back, and I can't even connect to that mental space I was in anymore. Like those feelings of the shame and the guilt, and like that, just so unfamiliar to me. It's so foreign, those feelings of those memories. And so when I find when like a like a hot memory that triggers me shows up, it just means that I haven't really dealt with that particular thing or that emotion. It's like, and so it doesn't like trigger me into this shame and guilt process anymore. It's like, okay, that's a place I need to work on. So that perception change in itself is like, doesn't keep me
I
here,
love
it keeps
that.
me moving forward.
That's beautiful. Now, I do have a question. Like when just before you reached that pivotal shift that you talk about, were things seeming to get more difficult for you? And like, were you like afraid to fall back into old patterns? Like, what was going on just before that big shift?
A lot of resistance, like it it feels like you're pushing up against this brick wall, or this, like, you keep getting pressed up against the
Yeah.
wall, but you can't get through it, right? And so it's just like, but you keep getting pressed up against it and pressed up against it and pressed up against it. It's like, it's the same thing, and I keep getting pushed back. And so it's like, and they always say like it's like when you're like at the most peak point, or feel like you're at the most peak point, is you're so close to that getting over that hump, or breaking through that resistance, or breaking through that perception change. And it just, and I guess the advice I would give to my old self when I've been in that spot is that,
Yeah.
to keep asking questions, like take a step back and like ask the curious questions of yourself, of like, why is this resistance feeling this way? Like, what is it like? And really take a step back and like write them down in journal, like, what are these things that are resisting against, and not keep pushing up against it. Because when you start asking the questions, the answers will come when you're not even looking for them. They're like, and that's how every single like perception shift has happened for me. Like, I'll ask the question, like, I'm ready to deal with this, and then a week later, 2 weeks later, a conversation, a random thing happens, and it's like, I get it now. Like, oh, that was that thing I was talking about a week ago. Oh, I get it now. Now I feel it in my body, and now I'm moving my body in a different way, or just moving in the world a different way. And then my body finally catches up
Yeah.
after. I mean, it takes a while if you've got really wound up in your body. And
I think
but yeah, but it is really shifting that perception and just kind of asking those questions, staying open, staying curious, and being open to whatever the answer is, not putting the expectation on what the answer that you want, because the answer that you
yeah,
want
and
is not
I
always the
think
answer.
I think that's key. So, I coach, and I find when people hit this place, like, I know what's coming, and I always encourage them to shift. And you're right, you have to stay curious. You have to, and when you're asking questions, you need to ask those questions of yourself, not like, oh, why is this happening? More like, why am I responding this
Yeah.
way? Why do I always recoil when this happens? Why does that make me angry? or why do I shut down at that
Yeah.
situation? And so those are the questions I think that are integral. And like you said, stay curious, like follow where they lead you, because that is going to take you to a place that is like infinitely better than you could ever imagine. Because once you get over that hump, or that resistance, it's just so beautiful. I equate it to like floating on clouds, because your everything's starting to connect, like you said, all those synchronicities that are happening. It's like people call it, okay, the universe is aligning to address your needs, right, to see to your needs.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. You know, and I had another like just a little thought about that, like you know, staying open, staying curious, but also being willing. And this one's a hard one. Oh, this one's a hard one. The willingness and openness to be
yes,
humbled when you need to be
yes,
humbled. Like, well, and well, and that goes back to my my friend Donna. She's on here. The conversation we've had for the past year about surrendering. Like, and so you know, be like when I say like the willingness and openness to be humbled, but the willingness and openness to surrender, not. And I've been struggling with this idea of surrender for since we talked about it. I mean, we've had many conversations, like, and like she said, she's like, oh my God, I can't believe we're having this conversation again, right? But like, you know, surrendering is to me was like, I don't know if that means like that means lay down and be a doormat. Like surrendering to what? Surrendering to who? Like surrender, you know, that doesn't seem powerful to me. That doesn't seem like aligned and all that kind of stuff. But a big, just in a not so recent past, like I had that lesson about surrendering, and I finally, I think I understand a little bit, a tiny bit of what it means for me. And it's surrendering to the war inside myself that I've been fighting, surrendering to that humbling of accepting that that story or that truth
yeah,
may no longer be the truth, and allowing that story to let go. Like that's not even the right story that I should be telling, or that's not, like, oh my gosh, that's an old pattern. And you know, I treated this person like crap, and I treated this person like crap, and I need to go apologize, and like surrendering
yes,
to that, because I was holding on to all these beliefs of programming, or just, you know, unconscious ways I've, you know, been in my life, or whatever it is. And it sucks because like you go through life and it's like I should know better, like I should have this all figured out, and we don't. And being willing to be humbled to that experience is, I guess, probably my
yeah.
biggest piece of advice to get through that resistance and surrender for whatever it means to you. For me, I'm still figuring that out, but like I think I got a little taste of it. I'm still like coming, you know, through that in my
I love
body.
that.
So
And I feel like I need
yeah.
to share something. I was deep in prayer, and it came to me because yes, the surrender is so difficult, and it's hard to wrap your head around that, especially in a world where it's like, um, it seems like you need to have all this power to succeed, and there could be nothing further from the truth, right? And so,
Yeah.
what I realized, okay, here's what we know, and this is common knowledge, and this is what I mean. It's like the basic stuff that is so powerful, right? So we are spirit, like we are spirit, and we're in a physical body. Our spirit is eternal, right? We're going to go on forever, and our body is finite. It's not infinite, it's finite, and it's once we leave this earth, it's going to stay here. And that war that is going on is between the flesh and the spirit. What the body wants right now to get what it needs, or what it think it needs before its time is over, not realizing that there are implications in that. There's the trauma, there's the hurts, the emotional baggage that come when that body, when our body or the carnal gets what it wants instead of considering what the spirit needs. And when I came to that realization, surrender became a lot easier to me. I'm still working through things, but that made it so much easier because when I have that carnal desire, I realize, it's so temporary. I need to focus on what's infinite, what's going to serve me going forward. And if, go ahead.
And as is to say, and what you could control, like there's like, letting go, like surrendering is also letting
Yeah.
go of control of a lot of those things, of like it, that blind faith, like this trusting that, trusting in yourself, trusting in, you know, God or the higher power that you believe in, and just like that faith and that you're on the right path. And yeah, like really,
Yeah.
and that's hard too, like, but letting go that control of like, everything's got to be this way and it can't be any different. And because when we think about the things that we want, and you know you know quote unquote manifesting, and like they'll show up, if but in ways
Mhm.
that you might not even recognize, because you're looking for something very, very specific, but they showed up, but not in the package that you had
Yeah.
anticipated, but that showed up, but you didn't even recognize it. Like I've had a few of those, like if I look back in my past, it's like, oh well, there it was, but I didn't have the eyes to see that it was that opportunity, but I created it. Like I
Yes.
created that opportunity somehow, and it showed
Yeah.
up and I wasn't ready for it. And that's humbling in itself, because it's like, yeah, every, where we are right now and to this day, whether it's we're on a healing path or a sickness path, we
Exactly.
created that. And
Exactly.
that's humbling.
Yeah.
And that's humbling. I created my sickness path by my habits and my things and all, and there's other things outside of that I can't control, from all the way from childhood and decisions I didn't make, but I can make decisions now and I can change it now. And that's the responsibility
Yeah.
that we're
Yeah.
responsible for taking
And
now.
it's so
Yeah.
easy to be in a state of illness and decline and think that it's not your fault, right? And that these things just happen, but they
Yeah.
don't. Like our mind is very powerful, and um, we can, arrive at that by choices that we're making. And so, also, you mentioned something that kind of reminded me. It's like when we're not attached to the outcome, like we don't miss those things because we're open to whatever comes, however what we're asking for arrives. We're open to that, and that's such a beautiful thing. And I always love to be surprised by what comes, right? And that's like a experience.
Yeah. That to me, that's the most exciting part. Like that's, and I mean, I'm one who loves surprises. So it's just like, oh, it showed up. Oh my gosh. And it's just that elation of like, oh my gosh, look at this. Like I didn't ask for this. It wasn't like, I didn't expect it to show up in this little conversation I had, like this seemingly like meaningless conversation. And all of a sudden that was the opportunity. And it's like, oh my gosh, there it was.
Very
And it's like
much
so
so.
exciting.
Um, Gosh,
Yeah.
such an amazing conversation. I thank you. So I wanted to also mention, or kind of um, see your point of view on this other shift that I know happened just because I see it. So you mentioned how you had that perception shift, and then it's like you just released the weight and it just came off, and then like your health got in order. Um, can you remember a time where you shifted from, even though you didn't change what you were eating, what you were doing, where you realize like, okay, what I eat is important, to my health. Like if I'm feeling this good, how much better
Oh
can I
yeah.
feel if I'm like feeding my body what it really needs?
Yes, absolutely. That's just actually something that happened recently too, because people ask me like, what diet have you been on to lose lose this weight and all this kind of stuff. And it really hasn't been a diet per se. I have done intermittent fasting a lot. So but over the course of this year, I've eaten food. I've simplified what I eat, and I eat a lot of the same things and things that make me happy, like things I want to eat. And I think so much of even in that ideation of what we eat, in that energy of what we eat is like, it agrees with us or not. Like if like I eat avocado toast every day, almost every day, and I love it. Like I love creating it. I love the look of it. Like I make it beautiful, and I love the taste. And it's like, should I eat gluten free? Maybe. Should I eat not so many avocados? Maybe. I don't know. But like, it makes my body feel good. And so, but to actually answer your question, just recently I realized, because I do a lot of like body testing with my food and my things that I put in my body, and somebody suggested to me, like, you should really test like the nightshades vegetables, like tomatoes and peppers and eggplant and potatoes. Those they're considered nightshades, and I don't remember exactly the description of all that, but like, so I did, and I got like a big profounding no, like it was, so like when I eat those things, it doesn't create like digestive issues, but it's creating inflammation or something in my body. Like it's like creating a reaction of some sort. So I did but I didn't and here's the part, like I didn't test those things before because I like to eat them. Like I didn't want to know if I could eat them or not. Like tomatoes specifically, and I knew about the peppers, like like the bell peppers. Like I kind of quit eating those a while back because I knew those didn't agree with me, or I shouldn't, whatever. But tomatoes and potatoes are probably the two that I was just like, those are my favorite things, and you're gonna tell me I gotta quit, But so I did. I completely like took them out of my diet, and I will say that I do feel better in my body. Like even though they feel good when I eat them, like they make me happy when you know. So there is a fine line there. Like, but I don't count macros. I don't count, my calories or anything like that. But we do eat organic because it's actually the glyphosate or the chemicals in the food that keep us sick. Because if you keep feeding your body over and over again those things, your body can't get out of that stress cycle, and your hormones don't start firing differently, and all those things. And then at Human Garage, unwinding our fascia, doing the maneuvers, and getting hydrated and mineralized actually is probably another big thing that got me over the hump. And that was like back in that journey, like I was, taking diatomaceous earth and Irish sea moss and getting hydrated. And as my water and hydration level went up, my inflammation and weight went down. And I have a tracker, like I can see that data. And that is
amazing. Yeah. So I know you mentioned earlier when we were talking before the live that you still have a ways to go. So what are your next steps?
Yeah. So yeah, I'm, like you said, I am definitely still in the middle of my journey. I'm, as far as weight on the scale, like I'm not looking for a number on the scale. That's not really that important to me. It's just the way I feel in my body. But like if we are kind of getting a gauge on scale, like I probably want to get rid of, give away probably another 80 pounds is probably a good number. And so like instead of those weight loss goals or the number on the scale, my goal this year was to be able to get into a squat. And I did it just like a few months ago, like, right. I finally got into a squat and now I'm actually being able to get out of the squat without a lot of this pain and stuff. So I made that goal. So my next goal is like be doing a handstand, right? Being able to do those physical things. And it's kind of right in line with the way Human Garage is going too with their content or what we're teaching, because we're actually going into a performance level. So it's like, okay, you've gotten your body to this healing point. Now what's next? And what's next is performance. It's like, now I want to move my body and actually, be able to, I don't know, do the handstand. Like, what does that take? I mean, I need to, open up my fascia and get the pain out of my body and move better. And, so we're working with a lot of athletes who are already performing at high levels, and now they want to perform at a higher level. And so what does that mean for somebody who's coming from this sick portion to this performance level? It just means that you're actually performing at this level that you've never, well, not never, but haven't experienced in a long time. Like, I grew up as an athlete. I grew up as a thin person that moved their body every day and was active and did all these sports and become a sick person. And now I'm coming back into my body. And that's a whole nother discussion in itself. It's just that mind, that fight of the mind of becoming this skinny to sick person to now the skinny for that what do you call it, that personality, I'm lost for words on that, but like I can't think of it. But anyway, it doesn't matter. but just realizing, like, well, that to go back just not even that long ago, somebody told me, goes, Lisa, you're not sick. And I'm just like, oh my, but I identified so long as a sick person. You're not sick. I'm like, oh, you're right. Like, but I was holding on to, like, I'm sick, I'm this and that. It's like, oh, yeah, you're right. And, it's just that simple little, and again, this perception change. I'm not sick. Now I'm acting differently as not a sick person where I was. So my habits are different now, just by that one little thing.
And right? I love how a lot of these realizations that you've had come from communication, like you communicating with people, and people, or people telling you what they see in you. And, like, if you're out there, like, that's so integral in relationships. That's part of the success of relationships, is that reciprocity, right? Like, you give and you get, and not in such a finite way, in an infinite way, more of an infinite way. And I think that's so beautiful, hearing about your journey and then where you're headed to next. So I would love to maybe in a few months, like, jump on a live with you again and see where we're both at.
Oh yeah, that'd be so much fun.
And then how do people get a hold of you?
So you can follow me at Lisa Human Garage. I can maybe even drop it in the chat here. But yeah, Lisa Human Garage is my Instagram handle. Here I am. Yeah, definitely follow me. And if I'm willing to answer questions and help people kind of get, they're interested in healing autoimmune and kind of just the way forward and how to get into the programs. All of the Human Garage programs are free, which is a beautiful thing. And it's, we have a 1 day, 3 day, 7 day reset, and then it prepares you for a 28-day reset, which is a perception cycle or a cycle to change your habits. And I think I've done 9 28-day resets in my journey, all in different ways and all for different purposes with all different intentions. And then the next, so once you get through that, you can even dive deeper for free. I mean, they're all, free programs in our Lifestyle Artist program. And it just dives deeper into our philosophy and those kind of things. And there's a Lifestyle Artist too. Then you can apply to become a coach and get the more even intricate hands-on training about the maneuvers and our philosophies and all that kind of thing. So it's an incredible, we're spreading. I mean, we're growing so fast, and we're actually doing a world tour this year. So we're going to Austin, Texas. Well, actually tomorrow, today's Friday, we're going tomorrow to Tulum at the Nomad Hotel. We're doing an event there. kind of a pre-kickoff, and then in Austin, Texas on May 12th, we're doing like the kickoff to the world tour. It's a transforming trauma event. We're expecting 1,500 people. We'll have a lot of our partners there, a lot of influencers. It's going to be a big event, and then from there we'll go to New York, we'll go to Prague, and then we're going to just travel around the world sharing our message about how how we heal our bodies ourselves, like self-healing, and also the power of connection, community, because we heal in community. So I haven't done this myself. Like, I'm not, like, people do this at home, but they're not alone. They're connected into our apps, they're connected in with people, they're connected into these calls, and so you create these relationships. Yes, also in the UK, we're coming to the UK, but when you create these relationships within the app and within people, and so all these people that I came to live with for the first time and meet I met them all online. I didn't meet them in person before I came. I came in but it was just, it wasn't anything different. Like, it was just like, they were the same exact people that I knew from online, because we'd already created those relationships. And so that's how we heal in community. So we can heal in community like this, because we can connect our energy
we
this
absolutely
way. So, and it's powerful. It's powerful to move together, because it creates this the snowball effect of the effect, and the way it releases trauma and all this kind of stuff. So all these people releasing and moving together is incredible. Like, I can't even tell you the experience until
I could definitely imagine. You cut off for a moment, but I could definitely imagine. I know, like, we were just created for community, and we saw what happened when we were cut off from our community during COVID, right? And that's integral, because we do. I don't want to say we do feed off each other's energy. We uplift, or we can pull people down, right? And when we look at healing, in closing, when we look at healing, it's not this compartmentalized, take this and it'll solve your problems. It's a holistic view. You have to take a holistic view. Where's your mind? Where's your heart? Where's your soul? What are your emotions like? And be curious and have a community. That's so key. Do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, jumping feet first. Like, when I started, I was at the point of, I felt I've done all of the things. I've spent all this money. I've been to the doctors, the practitioners, and it's like, oh my God, one more program that it's like I was ready to, I was at the point where I was ready to resign to the fact that I was going to feel this way for the rest of my life. And I was tired of being tired, and I was tired of trying, and I was tired of doing all the things. And so when I stepped in, I had no plan B. Like, I really didn't have, even moving to, packing up my life and moving here, like, the opportunity I had to move here, like, I didn't have a plan B, but I knew it was the right thing to do. And when it's no longer the right thing to do, I'll go do something else. So I didn't have that anxiety of, like, well, what if it doesn't work out? And and I guess that would be my piece of advice, because some people come into the program and they're like, oh, I don't know, will this work for me? Blah, blah, blah. It's like, well, I don't know. Well, do you believe it'll work? Like, do you have the belief that the body can heal itself? And, and also, if you're you find yourself, like, always in this victim mode, or people tell you that you're in a victim mode, like, being willing to open to that, because you can't heal in that victim mode either. Because if you're in a victim mode and looking outside yourself to heal, like, just say Human Garage is going to heal me, or this practitioner is going to heal me, or this doctor or this thing is going to heal me. That's, like, it's got to be, the responsibility's got to be on you, not that other person. So if you're projecting that on somebody else, you're not going to heal, because you are looking outside of yourself for that healing. So jumping feet first, have the faith, and open yourself up to the humbling, the surrender, and the fact that the stories that you've been carrying for so long may not
Yeah,
be right. And sometimes those are hard pills to swallow, but it's
so
so
worth it.
100% worth it.
I
Yeah.
absolutely agree. And I loved how you touched on jumping feet first, because every time in my history that I jumped and I was all in, it was so successful because my mind was there. I saw it, I
Yeah.
knew it, I had faith in it. And so that beautiful, beautiful words of wisdom. And I so appreciate you for joining me today.
And journaling.
Journaling,
Journaling.
yes, that is important.
Because what that does, like, that was the biggest success. Like when I jumped in feet first, and that very first time that you know, that's what got me through that first 28-day reset. Because like, I could, like, doing the movements, I couldn't do a lot of the movements. I was in so much pain. And so like I was fighting against my body to do it, but like I was journaling every day because it helped me process to that next level every day, because I was journaling publicly in the app in front of all these strangers and being vulnerable and all this kind of stuff. And that, I would say, probably, I mean, like, almost the biggest key to, like, that first success, that first taste of success in the program is that journaling. Because it because it's like you're processing today, and then you get to tomorrow and you're processing what you did yesterday. It's like, and so it keeps you moving this momentum in such a faster pace. And so, especially doing it publicly in the app, and that's why we do it that way. We like encourage people to journal publicly where people can comment and give feedback, because then you have all these perception shifts, like these, oh, I didn't think about that, oh, I didn't see it in that way, types of
Yeah,
things. So
that's beautiful.
yeah.
Yes, I'm in the Circle app. I did a 28-day. Well, I didn't complete it. I will be honest. I didn't. I'll be frank about that. I didn't complete the 28-day, but I was like a couple days short of it. And I was like, oh, if I skip one day, not a big
Yeah.
deal. And then the next day I forgot. So I got to get back to that and probably do a few
Yeah.
28 days because I think that's where the healing will come. Like
it,
the
it does. It's, because the first 28 day is learning the program, moving your body, you know and some people, come in, they just have one little thing, and that in it,
Mhm.
gets them back to where they were. But like, if autoimmune digestive issues, chronic pain, for all these kinds of those types of things, it's going to take longer, because it didn't take you
Right. It took
28
you
days to get there,
years.
right? So it's unwinding all of that. And like, if you watch Gary's journey, he's been on the journey for a long time, and he's just coming into his own body now, and his perception changes and his up leveling, because you're not, if you're on this healing journey, like I talked about, the point of no return, like you can't go back. Like you've seen what it's like you can't unsee what you've seen. You can't unfeel what you felt. So it's like, now it's the next layer and the next layer. And like, I was like, okay, you get to a point like, okay, I'm good. But there's always a next layer if you want to go there. And that's your, desire.
That makes so
So
much
yeah.
sense.
And I will end on requoting Gary. It's like, you can only heal at the highest
Yes.
level of your own
Yeah.
perception.
Yep.
Yeah. That was really profound statement for me. You can only heal at the highest level
Oh yeah.
of
That's a
your
good
own perception.
statement
Yeah.
for life in general. You can only understand at your perception level. You could only learn at your perception level and all of that. So
But your body can only heal
yeah.
that at that level too. Like your body, like your body's only going to heal at the highest level
Yes.
of your own perception. So your healing
Yes.
is contingent on that as
Absolutely.
well.
Absolutely. Well, Lisa,
Yeah.
thank you so much for joining me today. This was so much fun. I hope we
Thank
have
you.
more
So,
conversations.
I love it.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. So in a couple months, I'm going to reach out again. We can connect again. Who knows what the topic will be next time, but
I
I
know
hope
you
I have so
will.
many better stories.
I know
Like, I
you
hope I
will.
have, like, yes, I can't
Yes,
wait.
absolutely. And if
Amazing.
anyone has questions, you can put the questions in the comments and we'll revisit them as the week goes on. So I wish I would have said that at the beginning. I completely forgot about that. I didn't write it in my notes. That's why. So again, thank you, Lisa. And I look forward to continuing our friendship.
Absolutely. And you can follow, I just dropped my Instagram handle on the chat as well, Lisa Human Garage. So you can always follow me and
Yes.
DM me
Thank
there
you
with any
so much.
questions.
All right.
Yeah. And also follow Human Garage. Go to Human Garage, follow Human Garage. The link in my bio goes to the Human Garage link. So you can go to our website that gets you in those free programs and get to Austin. If you can get to Austin May 12th, and we'll all be there. So come give me a hug. I can't wait for all the big hugs in
Awesome.
Austin. So
All right. Thanks again.
yes, thank you so much.
Have a great day.
Yeah, you too.
Okay, so let me see. All right, everybody. Thank you so much.